Michigan State 79, Michigan 62, a senior day victory and rivalry sweep for the Michigan State Spartans, the outright Big Ten champions. This game was less competitive than the final score showed. In my opinion, Michigan State led by as many as 25 points midway through the second half before Michigan made a late run to, I don't even want to say make the score respectable, but cut into a blowout deficit. Michigan State was fantastic in this game. Trey Hollman with 20 points and then some post-game heroics if you're a Michigan State fan. Jace Richardson, 18 points, hit a huge three right after it appeared like he twisted an ankle or something. He was kind of limping and then all of a sudden kills the Michigan run with a dagger corner three. Jaden Akins hit what seemed like 11 threes, but come to find out he only hit three threes. And I was shocked by that in the post game. In the first half, it seemed like he was all over the place. On the Michigan side, Vlad Golden had 29 points, 6 rebounds, did all of the Vlad Golden things, including getting to the free throw line a bazillion times. So to me, both teams kind of did what we thought they would do in this game. You heard me in the preview. I was not optimistic about this game for Michigan. It was not a bit. Played out about exactly as I expected it to when a broken basketball team has to go play the team that broke them on a day that really means something to the team that broke them. Your thoughts, Cart? How you feeling?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit everything right there. This game, the end score is definitely closer than this game really was. Michigan State jumped on Michigan right away. The energy in the Brez was crazy. Jay Akins has the two threes early on. The turnovers, of course. I think it was at a point Michigan had like 6 points and seven turnovers. Michigan was throwing the ball all over the place to start this basketball game, and not to broken record it, but you have another great performance from Michigan's front court, and then you get no more than five from anybody else on the team, right? I mean, you get 2 points from Trey Donaldson. He has as many turnovers as points. Amari Burnett gives you 5 points. You have four turnovers. Reuben Jones gives you 3 points. You get nothing from the bench per usual. Um, while on the other side, Michigan State did the Michigan State thing. Jace Richardson was really good in this game. He was incredible. Trey Hollman has 20 points off the bench, hits three threes, talks his shit. He has entrenched himself in this rivalry. I think this year with the two games, the one at Chrysler and this game, and yeah, this was a belt to ass situation from start to finish. Kind of everything I think you said coming into this game played out the way we thought. A broken team came into play, a team that is hitting on all cylinders and is playing at home on senior night. It's kind of a buzzsaw to run into.
I think the way this game played out and the way the last 3 weeks have played out, honestly, make this somewhat anticlimactic.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I want to give this game like the respect it deserves because again, I stand by this is one of the best rivalries in sports. It's good when both of these teams are good, or at least one of these teams is great. I feel like this year, no matter how you feel about things that played out, this rivalry got injected with quite a bit of life, and that's I don't want to say a credit to both sides, but the end of the Juwan Howard years of this rivalry were very sleepy. I don't think anyone would define this as sleepy right now. This is something that is all over the news, given what happened in the post game. We'll have a video that's separate, by the way. This is literally just the game recap. We'll do a separate video that breaks down all of our thoughts on the post game scuffle during Michigan State's kiss the court celebrations. But um, yeah, I think the hard part for me is this: I don't know all that there is to say on what actually happened in this game because more than any other recap we've done this year, it basically played out exactly how we both thought it would in the preview. Like, we can come on here and try to find ways to define how great Michigan State is, but we've been doing that for 2 weeks. Like, I feel like the big picture, this Michigan State team is special. Conversation has already been had, and it's almost beating a dead horse for us to sit here and say how competitively great these guys are wired and how memorable this year will be. On the flip side, like the story here to me is probably what Michigan has become. And again, I think Michigan has become this broken, twisted version of themselves, largely because Michigan State stole their soul in the first meeting. This has been a completely different Michigan basketball team since Michigan State beat them at Chrysler Center with first place in the Big Ten on the line. And they came back from that game. They responded with two very close wins, not all that different than the games before them. But if you really watched those games, they scored 49 points against Nebraska. The Michigan offense has never been that bad this season. They came back and got outplayed on their home court by Rutgers. Gave up 50 something. The Michigan defense has never been that bad in a half this season. And it really, I'm telling you, as someone that has watched every single Michigan game, things changed for this team in that second half against Michigan State the first time. And it just feels like the curtain was lifted. They lost all confidence. Trey Hollman, Jeremy Fears just broke Trey Donaldson, and Roddy Gale was already broken. And now there's no answers. Those guys just look at each other like, I don't want to be here. I have nothing I can do. If you go through Torvik, by the way, just in that 6 game span, it's been 6 games since the Michigan State win over Michigan in Ann Arbor. Michigan is the 14th best team in the country, or excuse me, in the Big Ten.
I was
The
like, whoa,
one,
whoa, whoa, whoa.
the 100th best team in the country, the 14th best team out of 18 in the Big Ten. They went from even if they weren't as good as their record, they were like top six, top seven all year, to like playing at the level of a team that doesn't even make the Big Ten tournament in the last six. And it is truly who they are right now. It's not who they've been all season, but since that first Michigan State game, it's who they've been. And they played true to that in this game. I don't know what you do.
Yeah, you're just not going to win many games against good teams like Michigan State when you don't get anything else from anybody. And this guy, I mean, Vlad was incredible. Vlad was cooking us. He was just making move after move, layup after layup. Danny got going late. He got his points. It did take him a lot of attempts. He was only 5 of 15 from the field. And then you go through the rest of it, you just really got nothing from anybody else. Nothing from Donaldson, nothing from Burnett, nothing from Jones. Um, I mean, if it wasn't for Vlad, this game would have been a lot worse, and it was a lot worse at certain points of it. Um, yeah, and it was a buzzsaw that I think Michigan went into in this game. I mean, from the rip, the Brez was rocking. Michigan State was very much up into this game, obviously. Um, and I think for Michigan State to finish this way, finish strong, go 17-3 in the conference, sweep your rival, outright Big Ten banner. You really couldn't ask for much more. This was a handling of business.
Is that all it was?
Kind of, yeah. That's what it's kind of seemed like. I think you and I mentioned it in the preview. You got to come with some shit to you if you're gonna like win against Michigan State or beat this team, especially in this rivalry setting. Um, and I think that Michigan State guys had a lot more like I want to kill this team. They're my rival than Michigan did. But obviously, it's hard to do that when I mean Michigan State jumped over Michigan pretty much right away in this game.
Yeah, I kind of struggle with this because you're right. Like I'm certainly not here to argue that like Michigan wanted it more than Michigan State. They clearly didn't.
Hmm.
Um, they're also just way worse at basketball though.
Yeah.
Like I feel like maybe the frustrating thing to me as a Michigan fan on the output of this game is like the storyline has now become they don't care about the rivalry. They don't know about it. They don't Dusty's saying the wrong thing. Those players didn't show up ready. They're just way worse. Like whether or not they were ready, they're way worse. It wasn't a readiness thing to me. It was Michigan State is so much better at basketball than this team right now.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a wrong twist on it. Because again, I think both can be true. Michigan State wants it more, cares more, was feistier, has more shit to them. Even if Michigan had the same amount of shit to them as Michigan State, I think they'd probably lose this game by 10 because their guards are Trey Donaldson and Roddy Gale right now.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair to say. I just think when you look at these type of games, I think you even see, and this is outside of like rivalry type things. It's sometimes there's things about certain teams like, oh, like I want to. Obviously, you make a lot of sense with like the, oh, they're just bad basketball players, but there is like a certain like, oh, I want to ruin senior day for these people or something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
I just think that applies. Like I don't know how you could watch. Now, look, again, a lot of players know. Reuben Jones was awful. Namari Burnett was bad. Trey Donaldson and Roddy Gale are just disasters. But like Vlad Golden had 29 points on 12 shots, got a tech for shoving Jeremy Fears.
mhm.
Like, are we really sitting here like, oh, Vlad didn't want this? Like
No,
Vlad came here to try and do exactly what you're saying. I think Danny Wolf came here to try and do exactly what you're saying, but Danny Wolf was 5 for 15 from the floor because Danny Wolf can't score on his own, which is something I've talked about for a month. And this team has turned into Danny Wolf needs to isolate. Why doesn't he isolate more? Because he can't. Danny Wolf cannot win one-on-one as a basketball player. Good luck in the NBA with that, Daniel, because he can't do that. So I like again, I hear you, but I do not view this game as like, oh, they didn't want to show up and play spoiler. Yes, they did. They're bad. Like that's all this was to me. They're really bad. If asked, this was the best team in the Big Ten definitively, getting to stomp and earning stomping on the team that's playing like the 14th best team in the Big Ten. Motivational stuff is not the story to me here. It became the story after with what happened, but yeah, they're just bad right now. And Michigan State is not bad. Michigan State is awesome as a basketball team.
yeah, I mean, y'all went 3 of 24 from three. That's, I mean, you didn't make shots, you didn't make 3 pointers, you didn't get stops.
They can't shoot. They can't.
Yeah,
This is like let's go through their last couple games. 12% from three in this game. They made 35% against Maryland, which felt like 80%. 22% against Illinois and lost. 23% against Rutgers. 18% against Nebraska. 23% against Michigan State the first time. So in five of your last six games, you are shooting 23% or worse from three.
yeah, it's just not gonna get it done.
I mean, that's horrific.
Yeah, it is horrific. After these guys have been hitting shots, at least not like as of late, but to start the season.
Yeah, they were like through January, I think they were top 40 in three-point percentage as a team. It's kind of
Yeah,
crazy. I
yeah.
don't recall, I've watched a lot of basketball in my life, so have you. I don't really recall a team that I've ever rooted for that has fallen off this much in the season. Now, again, I feel like saying that implies that they were like awesome at some point, which they weren't. There was never a moment that this Michigan team was like dominant, but even the team that was like winning close games that wasn't as good as their record was miles ahead of whatever this version is. You
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, I mean this team was at a point, what, ninth on Ken metrically, that they were metrically the best team in the Big Ten in December, maybe?
They got up to 10th on Ken Palm in early January,
Yeah. And where do they stand currently?
28th.
Yeah, that's a pretty big fall off.
It's crazy.
It's crazy they're 28th.
I mean, 28th is like, yeah, I don't know. I even that feels way ahead of what they're currently playing as, but it's a weird year for Michigan. Not to make it all Michigan centric, but like, I don't know. There's started the year 36th on Ken Palm, ended 28th, finish tied for second in the league. And I think every Michigan fan on earth is like, wow, this season sucked. like like if you just like rearranged the way it went, I think there's a world where the results are exactly the same and we're all happy. But because they peaked really early in January or whatever and had all this shit to play for, it just feels like this whopping disappointment at the end. But I don't know. It's a really strange season. Like I truly I don't understand what happened to Donaldson and Gale at all. Those guys were good for 2 months and have become more than bad. They've become the worst players at the high major level in the country.
Yeah, they're broken. Like
They're
you can
awful.
operate with like one guy being broken. All three, four, whatever guards you want to say going broken at once for a long extended period of time hurts.
Just what broke them? Is this literally like they can't handle Trey Hollman emotionally?
Maybe,
I'm so confused by it.
maybe
It's the mystique of jig, I guess, right?
it just it happens.
It happens to the best of us. Oh man, it's crazy times. Did you like the decision to single cover Vlad?
Um, I mean, I did. They did try to like do the whole like digging thing, and I think given what everybody else was doing, I was kind of fine with it. Um, but Vlad was working our ass out. Pause. Like he was scoring at will, finishing everything. I think how the rest of the game was playing out, though, you felt good about it. Now, if guys started, you know, maybe knocking down shots or something like that, then yeah, I think you adjust. But yeah, I was fine with how it played out. I was interested. I was intrigued to see that they went that route, though. Obviously, I think we've seen Michigan State games this year where that's happened, and Izzo's just kind of like, I'm not letting this guy go one on one anymore. But I think given how the game was playing out, he was like, yeah, we'll just let Vlad go ahead and eat.
Yeah, it's I thought it was smart, even though I don't know, like it I think when you lay it out, it doesn't sound smart. Like let the dominant one-on-one guy go one-on-one and eat on a team that can't shoot.
Hmm.
Because if you did send doubles at Vlad, he like they shot 11% from three or whatever. It's not like they were making you pay. But I don't it's so hard to come from behind that way. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Just throw the ball into the post every time and get a tough two over and over and over again. And I thought Michigan did stay disciplined to that as much as they could, but like what was the closest they cut it to? Like 14,
11.
11? Like
Yeah.
you can't come back from that deficit playing through Vlad. So
Right. Yeah.
good on
Facts.
Izzo. Want to go player by player through some Michigan State guys here?
Yeah. Why not?
Who was the best player in the game to you?
I choose between Jace and Trey.
Make the choice.
Make the judge. I'll probably go. I think I'll go Jace. And then Trey close second in this game. Jace was incredible, even though my life flashed before my eyes when he tripped over that ref and his ankle like turned over. I was like, please God, why me? But then he banged a three and started limping. I'm like, he's fine. Once you bang a three post ankle and then limp like you're actually, really, really hurt, you're gonna be fine. So I was good with that. Also like that was a really timely bucket because Michigan was making a run and got cut to like 11. Then he hits that three, and then like I let out a deep sigh like yeah, we're gonna be all right here. He's just that dude's so good. Once again, timely buckets always. He's so good at getting to that left hand. He's able to pull back off that as well. The sequence where he had the backdoor dunk and then we get the steal and then Akins dishes it off to Kohler, and as I think Rafferty put it, Kohler down the drain to like go up 15. They're just everywhere in this game, and then Trey Hollman stepping up when he had his opportunity as well. I think he was the best point guard in this game, and he really was able to get his in this game.
Um, so Jace is awesome. We know that. He also like has this sense of the moment, I feel like a little bit. Have you caught
Hmm.
on to that?
A little bit, yeah.
There aren't like there aren't that many moments that have been available to Michigan State, if that makes sense. Because y'all
Hmm.
have been winning like comfortably a lot. So it's not like there's been many times where it's like, hey, Jace, we're down two and we need a bucket. But I don't know. There's just been like certain times in the last 3 weeks that it starts to feel a little tight, or like Michigan State just needs something. And Jace is always the one who provides the something to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, where are you at with him as like a clutch guy?
I think I honestly, I think he's very just not afraid of the moment and able to step up. Because I think you point to these like little mini moments, like even the Iowa game, we're down like 20 something in the first half. It's not for Jace. He's the only person that got off the bus and could find his offense in the zone. We're down against Oregon and we need somebody to step up. I thought that he stepped up in his first career start. Um, Even the Maryland game, like the on the road at Maryland, a lot is made about that game. And immediately he comes out in that game and is aggressive off rip, talking shit to the fans, has the moment at Michigan as well. I just think the dude is fearless, truly. And I think he wants to be in the moment where he has the ball and where he's making a play. And I think he realizes that he's one of the few guys on this team that can do that. Like we are giving it to Jace if we're in situations where we need something to happen. We're like, go make a play. And he always makes one.
Yeah. It does feel like part of this arrival, I'll call it that. I don't want to say resurgence, but like arrival of Jace Richardson is him accepting the role of superstar.
Mm,
Because I think Jace signed up to play at Michigan State with the content understanding and belief that he was going to be like a role guy. Like you could say he was confident, or maybe like I'm sure every player that comes into Michigan State like has self-confidence and believes that they can be a star. Like there's no part of me that would doubt that, but I think he also like was perfectly content to just come in and like contribute off the bench and find my spots where I can help this team. And oh, I'm a little ahead of schedule. This is cool. The last month has been Jace like taking on this whole level of ownership of like this is my team now. And that's been really cool to watch as an outsider because I do think that's part of where the edge from this team has come in. They've had an edge all season, but now that they have the dude who is like staring everybody in the face, like, yeah, I got us offensively, it allows Jace or Jig Trey and Jeremy to just kind of run around and be psychos. It allows Jaden Akins to just volume shot hunt and gun 10 threes. It allows everybody else to do the little things down low. Just feels like the puzzle pieces are all like perfectly snug in place now that Jace is like, I'm the guy, and I know that.
yeah. And I think also like State as a team realizes that too. Like they're
Yeah.
looking for Jace like at like the end of shot clock, we're not getting anything, or if we need a moment, we need someone to make a play. It's like, all right, we're going to Jace. And yeah, sometimes they go to Holloman as well, but it's like Jace is that option. He's that first guy.
Yeah. There's not many better in the country right now. It's the reality. Yeah, I loved when that corner three after he had whatever little ankle injury thing. One, it was cool. Like I'll just say, like watching a dude that's like, weren't they on like a what 11-0 run,
I
something like
think so.
that? It was,
Something like that, yeah.
and it wasn't like a real run either, right? Like it was an 11-0 run by definition, but that was like a 7 minute long drought where it was just like Michigan State is struggling right
Yeah,
now.
they could not make a field. I think they went like 4 minutes, 30 seconds without a made shot.
Yeah,
Something like
it
that.
didn't happen like, oh, Michigan snowballing, making so it was like Michigan State just is stuck in the mud right now.
Mhm.
And they find like Jace, it was a wide open shot. That was part of it too. And when he catches it in the corner wide open, I think if he misses that, you're thinking, oh my God, like the door really is wide open. And instead it's just like, nope, door shut. Our star is hurt, and he still made it. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just a cool shot for him. A couple other quick Jace questions for me. Uh Plug your ears if you don't want to hear this from me. He's definitely gone, right?
Yes, yes.
Like unequivocally, undoubtedly at this point, probably a top 10 pick.
Yeah, should have went through ceremony. He should have kissed the logo. That
Yeah.
was his
Did
last
was
game of the
there? I
regular.
didn't notice anything on this. I really didn't pay that much attention to it because I was knee deep in the tradition discussion after. But was there anything with him after the game that might have indicated anything like that? I wouldn't expect there would be, but like I know the team was like on IG Live and all this stuff. Was there
I
any
didn't
sight of that?
I didn't notice anything. All
Okay.
we got was a post game TikTok,
Mhm.
uh, getting jiggy. That's about it.
Saw that. Okay. Yeah, just curious. Sometimes guys that either know they're gone or don't know they're gone might leak some shit like that through post-game celebrations and a thing like that. So,
Yeah, no, he's gone. He's gone.
I mean, I don't think you can ever definitively say it because of who he is and the legacy. And let's just be real, like the money that the Richardson family should have. I
Yeah,
don't know how wise Jason Richardson was with all of his investments. I would assume pretty wise. The man made tens of millions of dollars in the NBA. So,
right.
given that situation, I think it's always going to be fair to be like, what if he does come back? But he definitively does not need to at this
Yeah.
point, and it'd be shocking.
And to your point, I feel like when we talk about like draft prospects on here, it's like, what does I mean, obviously he can come back and be incredible again, but what's he trying to do? Like go from like being the 10th pick to the fifth pick?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like this is a kid that definitively was not on draft boards coming into this year, and now he's a certified lottery pick. I just and I think he's worthy of it too. So I don't even like blame him. Obviously, want him back. That'd be insane if we did get him back. But I'm very much operating as if Jace Richardson is gone.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where if you are rooting for Jace Richardson, you almost actually should want him to go. Like it would be the wrong move for his career to not go. So much more could go wrong than could go right if he came
Yeah,
back. And
agreed.
that's just reality. That's not anyone hating on that. Question for you on this. How high do you think Jace deserves to go? Because it does feel like in the last 2 weeks it's gone from like bona fide first round pick to like this dude's lottery to like wait a second here, is this dude top five? Like I don't know what's crazy anymore, but I'm looking through names. Cooper Flag, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, maybe Trey Johnson, VJ Edgecombe. Fine. You want to throw those five out? Absolutely. They've got pedigree. I get it. You start to lose me when you're throwing Kasparis Yakashonis and Yegor Demin and if I am an NBA GM or just a fan of an NBA team, there is no way in hell I want the European dudes over Jace Richardson.
I feel this. I feel like he's after that. He's after that tier of the guys who's like up there that you just mentioned that are like the certified top five guys. Once you get to like the next guards, like we start having like, do you want Jace or Yegor conversations? And I get it. Yegor's the 6'9" point guard, but I have a hard time being like, I want Jace or like a Nolan Traore. Like
Yeah.
with all due respect, like I want Jace.
Con Knipple or Jace Richardson. Like I think he's the sixth best player in the draft at minimum. Like
Yeah, I think he's easily top 10.
he may
Easily.
not go sixth, but he should. He's so polished and well-rounded. Would you take him or Jeremiah Fierce? Another projected lottery pick.
Ooh, that's tough. I think I'm taking Fears.
Jace is a lot more efficient,
He is a lot more efficient.
but they're both pretty electric.
Both pretty, yeah, both good with the ball in their hands. Jace is also good defensively. Not
Better
saying
than
Jeremiah's
Fierce.
not saying like Fears is just awful, but like he's just not on that end. That's not a priority of his.
Yeah. Do you have a comp for Jace? Somebody in our Discord threw a crazy one out yesterday that has been stuck on my brain.
There's not one that really comes to mind immediately. But the one I do like to say, like I know folks love Dylan Harper for good reason, right? Jace is like a 6'2" Dylan Harper. So like he does a lot of the things that I think Harper does. And I understand why Harper is the top five pick he is, and that makes 100% sense to me. He's like a 6'6" guard doing that. Jace does a lot of the things that he does. Jace is just maybe not as physically gifted as Harper is. But I don't know what was the comp that was thrown out.
You ready?
Yeah, I don't know. Am I?
It's been stuck on my brain since reading it, and when I read it, I was like, okay. And now 24 hours later, I'm like, still thinking about it. James Harden?
Huh?
James Harden, but like in shape and maybe, I don't know, with some better habits.
He's James Harden with better habits.
You don't watch him getting to his left that effortlessly and see that a little?
I mean, I could see it. He would be a 6'2", James Harden.
How tall is James Harden?
James Harden's like 6'5".
Okay. But Jace is 6'3", by the way. He's not 6'2".
Is he 6'3"?
It's listed at Ken Palm 6'3", 185.
Huh.
That's not my favorite, but it's been stuck in my head since I read it because I'm like, he does get to his left every time. And he has these like little, it's all footwork stuff, you know?
I think it says a lot about who Jace is that that's who we got to get to.
Do you have a different comp or no? Because I have a different one. It's also
You
a lefty.
I feel like I've made one before, but now I can't think of who it was. No, who do you got?
It's also a lefty, and it's just an all-time winner. I'm literally comparing him to a guy that we put number one as the greatest college basketball player in 20
Brunson?
years, Jalen Brunson.
He does have some Brunson to him.
Where it's just like you watch him and you come away being like, that dude doesn't have a weakness. It's all smarts. It's all just the right spots and skill and footwork, and he can pass, he can shoot, he can score. Brunson got to the NBA and became an all-star almost immediately in a way we didn't expect.
So Jace is NBA All-Star comparable.
I struggle to come up with a different comp than those two guys, which is crazy. What a player. Fun to watch. Fun to see. It will be fun to see where he takes this team. If this is the final month of his Michigan State career, everything is ahead of him. This could be a really, really special March for Jace and Michigan State. You said the second guy from Michigan State was Trey Hollman, who, in your words, has cemented himself, ingrained himself in this rivalry. Again, we will have a separate video about the incident at the Spartan Head after the game. But what did you make of Trey's performance in the game?
I thought he was I thought he was just very aggressive, very just really good. And even outside of the end game stuff, Trey is just entrenched in this rivalry because I think well, obviously he had two really good games. Like obviously you had the moment at Chrysler where he has like the 9-0 run or the three straight threes. And then in this game, he gives you 20 off the bench. He's talking shit as always. Um, and he's just like in both these games, he's been very productive and he's been a guy that next to Jace has been able to kind of get his own and get to the basket and make plays. And he's one of the few guards. Honestly, it's him and Jace that I trust to like kind of pull up right in that drop coverage or coming off that screen and roll and hit that little midi shot. And Hollman was able to hit that in this game, and I thought it was just he was to be able to get 20 points from him off the bench and him talk his shit as he normally does. He is first team all get a bucket and let you know he just got a bucket. And for that, I will ever appreciate him.
Yeah. 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 Feels like he's risen up the all-time beloved Michigan State players list in the last month in an incredibly rapid way, from the run at Chrysler to the Iowa incident to this. Hard to imagine there's been a player that has had a more, I don't know what word you want to use, meaningful month for the culture of Michigan State basketball than Trey Hollman.
Yeah, guys like to have like an antagonistic type person, kind of. Like I think you look at the really good teams of the past, even outside of Michigan State, like the really good teams always have one guy who kind of will mix it up if need be. Last year shit, the two teams in the national championship game, Cam Spencer would mix it up with anybody. Even Lance Jones, to a certain extent, would want to mix it up with anybody. So I think having that type of guy who is fearless, maybe even sometimes to a fault, and has a little bit of shit to their game is, kind of massive for team success and team vibes.
Yeah. Yeah. Trey is also a guy that I have a hypothesis that he plays better when he's in the mud. Like he gets himself going
Hmm.
by like creating these scenarios of conflict,
Yeah.
which is it's honestly a me move.
You gotta look. Are you and Holland very similar?
No, in so many ways, no. But yeah, I feel like manufactured adversity, the chip on the shoulder, that type of shit. Now, some of this is real adversity, don't get me wrong, but I just like I come off of these games, man. He hit three threes in this game. He hit three threes against Iowa. He hit three threes against Michigan the first time. You know how many threes he hit in the other five games combined in Michigan State's last eight?
Two.
One.
The half court against
But
Maryland.
he made three against Michigan both times and three against Iowa when he wanted to kill Brock Harding. Like the dude, there's something about him where he wants all the smoke, but in the middle of asking for the smoke, he like gets better and rises his own game to the smoke.
Right.
Um,
And it's unavoidable smoke because you don't have to say anything. It's he just takes it that way.
yeah, right. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have an appreciation for it as a rival fan. I think I've seen multiple Michigan accounts kind of go on record of like, man, I wish Michigan had a player like Trey Hollman, and that's not to diss our own players, but he is just a guy that I think every program in the country would want. And at this point, I mean, it is a little crazy to step back broadly and say it out loud. He's become like the most beloved guy on this team. Not that Jace isn't great and people don't love him, and people love Fears, people love Akins. Everybody, there's mad love for him. But if you would have told me before the season, we get to the end of the year and like Trey Holloman is the heart of this team, I would have been like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah,
Like,
true. Very true.
kind of wild. Jaden Akins, 11 points, three threes, all three in the first half. As I mentioned to you, it felt like he hit way more than that, but thought this was a good performance. 4 for 14 from the floor. It feels like he's had a couple of these games that he ends up doing that, like
Mhm.
4 for 14, 5 for 15. And I come into the recap and I'm like, he was awesome. Objectively, he was not awesome. He was inefficient as he's been pretty much all season. But really, he's gotten into a spot with his team where it doesn't even matter when he's inefficient. He just needs to have those moments where he hits two or three in a row. And that's where I'm at with him in this game. This might be the best case version of Jaden Akins, which is not still what he could be doing. But I thought that flurry in the first half was like that's when you created the separation. It was when Jaden Akins was pouring in threes in rapid succession.
Yeah, and we just need him to be a guy who, because he has the capability to be a guy that can hit threes for a team that lacks that. We need every bit of that, and we need his volume. So, like, yes, you want to be more efficient, of course, but I think I've reached a point where like you'll take this performance from Jaden Akins. You'll take 9 3-point attempts, make it timely. He came out gunning in this game, hit two right away that I think got the crowd going. So he needs to be a guy who's willing to take those shots, and obviously he needs to make them, but he needs to be willing to take them, which he has been.
Yeah. In the post game, we got tears from Jaden Akins in the moment. What did that mean to you to see?
It was cool. It was cool to see. For Akins to obviously there's more season to play, but for his Big Ten career, like in the regular season, to end like this, I don't think you could have drew it up any any better. I mean, maybe you draw it up better with him being more efficient and playing better offensively, but for him to get to a point where he's a key piece on a team that raises a banner and is outright Big Ten champion and had the success that this team has had all year, I think it obviously meant a lot to him, and I think people love bringing up the Jay Nakins throwback of when he said he wanted to be a Michigan State player. Um, for him to end his career like this in the Big Ten regular season, I think obviously it meant a lot to him, and it's cool to see those moments. I've been a sucker for Senior Day moments this year. I'm not sure why that's not something that used to happen in my past.
You're getting old. You're washed up, right?
Is that what it is?
Maybe.
Uh,
I don't know. Um, yeah, I found it emotional too watching it. I got a lot of respect for Jaden Akins. I do. I talked about it in the last video. I don't need to hit all the same key points, but just felt like the way he received that moment felt unique, even. Like we've watched a lot of Michigan State great players go through that exact ceremony and the moment of it. And we've seen others get emotional. I'm sure I think Matt Costello had tears. I'm sure there are others that I'm not remembering off the top of my head, but yeah, I don't know. Akins just was like the de facto leader on this team, right? For all these young guys. Let's not forget this team of champions coming into this year, Cart, were not champions. This is something they grew into and
mhm.
took and earned. This wasn't like, hey, Jace Richardson's coming in to a bunch of guys who have done it before. No, this is like all. It's a program that Izzo has for sure, but nobody on this roster was like, "Oh, I run the league," and I think nobody exemplifies that more than Akins, who's been on all these teams that underachieved. And yeah, I don't know. He carried himself like a winner, even when things went wrong all season, with just like a do your job mentality. And to see him, I don't want to call it breaking down, but he got there, right? That moment where he got emotional was him getting to the finish line of his career and winning the race.
Mhm.
And it was really cool to see. He feels like a guy that it means more to him to be a Michigan State basketball player than almost anyone that's ever played, given the history and how he grew up a fan. And just, I think you can visibly see how much he cares about this in a way that you don't see from even other great players.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely means something to him, and I think the emotions of the situation took over at that point, and it was cool to see.
Yeah. You also think back, I mean, this was his senior day. It was also Frankie Fiddler and Shimon Zapala's senior day, which those guys also, I think, were emotional and they mean something to Michigan State and they clearly care about this too. But let's not think back, or let's not forget when Jay Akins committed, he was supposed to be part of a transcendent recruiting class that consisted of Amani Bates and Max Christie and Pierre Brooks and himself. And he's the only one that finished it. He's the only one that sustained it for various reasons. Everybody else left or didn't even get there in the first place. And Akins was the one guy who was like, no, you know what? I'm here and I'm going to stay and this is going to work. And I mean, look, I speculated years ago. Remember that? I was photoshopping him in Michigan uniforms a couple years ago.
What a time.
What a time. He's come so far. Anything else from a player perspective for Michigan State? Jeremy Fears was screaming in my players' faces 10 seconds in the game.
Yeah, just classic. Fears had he had some major turnover issues in this game. He had five of them. Uh, he was a little bit all over the place for me. He did have some good assists as he always does. The defense was there as it always is. He got to the foul line, kind of did the Fears thing, but this was more so about the other guards in this game. But I thought Fears played his role.
Okay. Yeah, which is to set the tone by going nuts 5 seconds into the game.
Yeah, I think that might be everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Trey Donaldson didn't want that. So I don't know what, like, it's like I said in the preview, like, you just knew what was coming from these psychos, and there
They
was
are a bunch of
nothing we could do
psychos.
about it.
They're a bunch of psychos. That's what it really is.
It's not fun to play you.
It was 0-0, and I think Donaldson turned it over or something, and we took that as the moment to scream in people's faces.
It's not fun to play you at all.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
you don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah, never again, hopefully, ever. But all
You in the
right.
Big Ten tournament?
No, never.
No.
Yeah, I don't think Michigan's gonna win another game. They got the double bye. They're the 3 seed in the Big Ten tournament. They're in the Purdue pod. So if Purdue takes care of business, they should get Purdue in the first round. I can't see them winning that game. And then if they end up on like the 5 or 6 line, I can't see them winning that game. I don't know who this team beats with the guards the way they are right now.
What percentage chance is it that the guards get it together somewhat?
10%, maybe.
10?
I mean, they've had a month to try and show signs that they will, and it's only gotten worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
Now, again, maybe part of that is like the knowing Michigan State's the big elephant in the room and going to sit there at the end of the season. But like, I just don't know. I wanted to see signs of life from that in this game, and we saw the opposite.
Yeah. Fair.
So, okay, end of year one. Again, there will be a separate video on the antics, but can I get a readjusted statement on where you're at with Michigan's head coach? Because I've heard varying things from you. Coming into the year, you were not afraid of Dusty at all. You speculated he may not even be a good coach. Then, as things got better and better for Michigan in early conference play, you admitted that you thought at the time he was clearly an incredible coach, and you don't like where it's headed long term. And then now he is 0-2 with quite a statement from him after the game. So, where are you at with your rival's head coach?
I mean, I think it's Dusty's a good basketball coach. Um, Now I think you can point to things this year where you're questioning long term, like why did these guys get so bad? But in year one, for him to take a program that won 8 games last year, obviously they sputtered towards the finish line. You hate to see that. But like all in all, I think you got to feel pretty good about the year and your coach if you're a Michigan fan. Do you want him to finish the year like he finished? Obviously, no. But there was improvement in year one, and I think you look to year two, maybe get some better guards in there, maybe get some better players in there. Also find a way to not let your guys get broken all at once towards the end of the season. But I think all in all, you feel good about having Dusty May as your coach.
Um, that's a different question than the question I asked you.
Am I worried about Dusty May?
Not even that, just like, yeah, objectively good season, Dusty. Where are you at with Dusty May being your rival's head coach?
Mm, not not concerned.
Like indifferent?
Yeah, like indifferent, like wait and see, I guess.
I think the indifference tells you all you need to know from you. Just, yeah, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you have said that a month ago?
No, because I actually coming into it, I was like, okay, Dusty's got a little bit of like shit to him.
Yeah,
And
agreed.
then this team just the thing is like I think you pointed out this team sputtered and players were broken, and that is on the players, but also that has something to do with what's going on. Like who brought in those guys or what is going on? Why are all these guys broken at once?
Yeah.
Like how's that
Yep.
happen?
Yeah. Okay. All right. That tells me all I need to know. Just wanted to pulse check that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any final words from you? Congrats on the sweep. Congrats on the championship. Congrats on the banner. Would you like to kiss the floor behind you right now?
Yeah, if I had a Spartan head available, I think I would. I'll leave you with this. Michigan State finishes this year 17-3 overall in the Big Ten, 3 games ahead of second place, a plus 236 in the wins, minus 12 in the L's for plus 22-24 overall. For reference, Purdue's great team last season They finished 17-3 as well, 3 games ahead as well, with a less differential point wise than this Michigan State team. I just think this year has been incredible for Michigan State basketball. Good on Tom Izzo for what he did. Um, and I'm very excited to see what this team does in March because I think they're a team that people should not want to play.
Yeah, Trey Hollman, two-time National Player of the Year. Loading. Future.
Yeah, it's got to be somewhat awful to take as somebody who's not a Michigan State fan that you should fear Trey Hollman and Carson Coop. Like you should fear these group of guys. You should fear Jackson Kohler and Jace Richardson and all these guys.
It's one of the more unsettling teams ever because, like, as a rival or as an opponent, because you don't want to give them the credit they so clearly deserve. And
Hmm
I got to the point in like I want to say mid-February where I was just like, no, you know what? F it, give them the credit. They deserve it. Seth Davis even had the tweet after the game finally. Okay, fine. Michigan State has the highest ceiling in the Big Ten. Like, yes, you idiot. We've been screaming this for weeks while you make a fool of yourself saying every other team that loses to Michigan State does.
Look, you want to be playing your best basketball going into March. In March, Michigan State unequivocally is 7 straight quad one wins, all in different fashion on the road at home. It's been quite the run. Now they find themselves going to the Big Ten tournament. Obviously, we'll be covering that with not really much to play for, but I don't think there is such thing as not to play for this Michigan State team.
Yeah, we'll
They
have a
just
lot of Big Ten tournament preview content this week, but one of my biggest notes in preparation for this conference tournament is that if you're expecting Michigan State to mail this in, you have not watched this team and understood who they are.
yeah,
So,
facts.
all right, congrats, Cart. Great season. Congrats to Michigan State fans everywhere.